So, guys, the next thing I wanted to do is kind of wanted to pick a surprising landing spot. What landing spot out of the 10 or so people that we did surprised you the most?
Surprise, it's gonna be Ryan and sending Nick Foles to the Redskins. So Nick Foles, I think, is looking for a long-term deal, probably a 3 to 5 year deal. I would guess. So, he if he wanted to be a 1 year quarterback, he probably would have just stayed with the Eagles, and they offered him a $20 million, one year $20 million, right? So he could have stayed there for that. Like, I think he's looking for a long-term situation. Like, that's what he says that he wants to do. I mean, this is a guy that a couple of years ago was contemplating retirement. Then he went to Kansas City, and Andy Reid sort of revitalized him. And, he said he wants to be a leader of a team. With the Redskins, they still have Alex Smith. Obviously, Alex Smith isn't going to play this year. So for me, I would be surprised if Nick Foles went to the Redskins. I mean, unless the Redskins figure that Alex Smith is never coming back. I mean, right now they don't know for sure what's going to happen with Alex Smith, but I think it sounds like something that he will be back. It's probably not going to be this year, more likely 2020. So I felt like that, they're probably going to be looking for a stopgap quarterback. Though I will say that there was a report out on RotoWorld today that they have checked in with the Arizona Cardinals on Josh Rosen. So I thought that was kind of interesting to see. So maybe they are looking for long term, but just overall, I feel like Nick Foles, he kind of has, with being really the only competent quarterback one that's had any real success in this league. I think there's going to be a lot of teams vying for his services, and for him, I don't know why you would choose the Redskins when you could go to, say, the Giants with all the weapons they have there. He's won a Super Bowl, he's had the taste of the playoffs. I feel like if he goes to the Redskins, I just don't see the upside. Their offense is one of the worst in the leagues in terms of weapons and everything else that they have there. Like, I think either going to the Giants or either the Jaguars would probably make the most sense.
All right. Well, I was just going to say that I don't think that Alex Smith is playing again. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, the guy's 34 already. So you're talking about he'll be coming back at age 36. And who knows what he's going to be at that, point in time. So I think they already have to be thinking differently. And that's just ironic that Josh Rosen report did come out. You're talking about a Nick Foles who they've seen play for a while now, being at Philly for, 4 out of his 6 career years. So they're familiar with this guy. And Jay Gruden, it just seems like a good fit for me. I mean, he kind of reminds me of a Kirk Cousins, Nick Foles does. And he, we know what their rapport was while Cousins was in Washington. So I could see Nick Foles coming there. And it just comes down to, what can the Redskins do? Yes, they are not a great offense right now, but they can't do not a damn thing without a quarterback. So I think they should really try and go after, a solid quarterback here who can, actually play and can perform in big moments and has, a Super Bowl MVP on his resume and has, revitalized the team that was right in their division. I think that would just be hilarious narrative too for Foles to be there and then to play against the Eagles twice a year. So that's all. I mean, it was an interesting spot for me to make do, and I think they will be trying to look to fill that quarterback void.
Well, the only thing I would say with that would be, if they were going to sign Foles, because Foles is probably going to get at least $20 million a year, because they're still paying Alex Smith. That's still counted against their cap. I mean, Alex Smith is a $20 million cap hit this year, and if they were to cut him, it's a $42 million cap hit. So he's not going anywhere. He's not getting cut. So I believe that's why they were probably checking in on Josh Rosen, because he's playing under his rookie contract, where you're not really paying him much. So I that's why I just would be floored if they paid, Nick Foles $20+ million. So then they're basically allocating $40-some million to the quarterback position, and then on top of that, they only have $15 million in cap space right now. So they would have to release some players to make even that work.
How about our least surprising landing spot, Ryan?
The one for me, I would have to say, was Jen's Nick Foles to the Jaguars. I mean, Blake Bortles, what a joke. He it just is what it is. And you talk about a team who's willing to overpay, quote unquote, for the quarterback position like that. That could be that just makes sense for them to do a quick fix. You got Coughlin there, who's used to seeing Nick Foles play against the Giants when he was with Philly. They need help now. It just makes all the sense in the world. They got the cap space to do it. So send Nick Foles to the Jaguars. Yeah, I'm on board with that.
I can see that. I mean, we know there's going to be a move at quarterback there, though. So we don't know who it is, but Nick Foles could fit that just as well as anybody. How about you, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, not mentioning Le'Veon Bell, but I think it is Nick Foles with going to the Giants. I know that's what I picked, and I think that's what you picked as well. Yep. They just have so much talent there with Odell, with Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, Saquon. Like, it's all there for that offense to be. If you can get legitimate quarterback play, like it really instantly becomes a top 5 offense. And if you're a quarterback, much similar to what Kirk Cousins was last year, like Kirk Cousins, everybody was like drooling over the idea of Kirk Cousins going to the Vikings, and matching up with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen and Kyle Rudolph and Dalvin Cook. Obviously, we know it didn't really work out as well as we thought it was going to, but, I mean, the offense was okay, but not nearly as explosive we thought it was. But anyways, I just think with overall, like, this is the best landing spot for any quarterback. And I just can't believe that Dave Gettleman, their GM, is that stupid that he would miss out on this opportunity, this window he has with all this talent on offense, and continue on with Eli Manning. Like, Eli Manning is cooked. I get it. He is a Hall of Fame, 2-time Super Bowl champion there. He and everything that he means to the Giants internally. But it's time to move on from Eli Manning and a better quarterback, and I think that Nick Foles is that guy who's the best available. I mean, unless they're really wanting to take a quarterback, but I think there's a chance that Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, and Drew Lock, there's a possibility that all 3 of those could be gone before they pick, and those are really the best 3 quarterback options in this class. So so if that happens, I just think not even looking at that and just signing Nick Foles and making that happen, I think makes a lot of sense. For him to go to the Jaguars have no cap space, none. They're going to have to move mountains to be able to sign him and move on from a lot of guys that, and which sounds like that's what they're trying to do is really move on from some of these guys because they have no cap space, no flexibility whatsoever. So they're going to have to free up $20 million or somewhere in that range to make that work. So, the Jaguars definitely need a quarterback. We know that. They probably should have taken one and not drafted Leonard Fournette, who might be on his way out there as well. There's been reports that he could be gone. And the Jaguars is definitely probably the one that makes the most sense, but I do think that, from a, I guess a football standpoint, but from, everything that goes into it, I think the Giants make the most sense. Now, will Dave Gettleman actually do it? Who knows?
But, it'll be weird. Eli is going to have to find a new home, more than likely, but even his brother had to find a new home at some point. So as hard as it is for Giants fans or just for NFL fans to see the Giants without Eli, it just happens. That's the nature of the beast. And maybe Eli goes down to Jacksonville after they get out of this $2 million hole.
I was just about to say that. That would be the worst case scenario for if you're a Jaguars fan. That you move on from Blake Bortles and you're all excited, and then with Tom Coughlin there, he brings in the old gunslinger Eli Manning, who is decrepit and can't play anymore, and you bring him in to be their quarterback. That would just be worst case scenario.
Well, what's even worse is that he is still an upgrade over Bortles. That's what makes it worse.
I don't know. I know Blake Bortles isn't great, but
come on,
Kev, get out of here with that.
Eli Manning is awful, truly, truly awful. Blake Bortles at least has had moments. I don't know.
Listen,
if his moments were giving up the game to the opposing team, then yes, those were the moments.
No, Kev, because we've been letting Blake Bortles slide the past couple of years before last year because he was doing it in the fourth quarter and what have you, like that magic with Blake Bortles. But that sailed last year, so he didn't prove that. So if they're gonna get the Blake Bortles of last year, like there's no way. I'm not taking them.
No, they definitely need to
them
move on from Blake Bortles. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm just saying that would just be awful to move on from Blake Bortles, and then here comes Eli Manning comes into town.
Yeah.
And real quick, we did talk about this. I think me and Ryan were both contemplating doing this because I do think that this is one scenario that I could see come to fruition, and that is the Bengals moving on from Andy Dalton and signing Nick Foles. Like, that move would not surprise me whatsoever. And then, of course, Andy Dalton then becomes the most sought after, quarterback, which, again, with all the teams we talked about, the Giants, the Jags, definitely, would be an upgrade there at quarterback to get him. I mean, Andy Dalton's not great. I think in the right situation, he can be an average to slightly above average quarterback, but he needs kind of the stars to align to make that happen. But that is one scenario that I wouldn't be surprised if played out.
No, absolutely. We talked a little bit about that before the show, too, and that would just be kind of crazy.